There are stories that connect us to ourselves and to each other. These stories reveal who we are and show us the many vivid colors of our truth. Welcome to Soul Wanderings, where we raise spiritual awareness and foster connections through these shared stories and personal experiences. Now, exclusively on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, your hosts, AJ and Natalie.
So welcome. It is Wednesday night. That means it's time to soul wander. We are hanging out here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting, and I am AJ.
And I am Natalie.
And we are your hosts for Soul Wanderings. Yay.
It's such a lovely gig.
It's such a lovely gig. So we missed you all last week. Yes, for those of you who are popping in, we are live tonight. We are live and ready to have a brand new show with a brand new guest. And it's going to be a good one.
I'm excited.
2 topics that I'm super in love with. Paranormal and true crime.
I'm excited
awesome.
to hear all about that. That's not my favorites, but
but 50 out of 100. There we go.
I did grow up in this house that's very I'm sure haunted.
Oh yeah.
The piano used to play in the basement. It was either cats or the ghost. We don't know. Maybe both at different times.
Oh my gosh.
We would turn off the lights and run from the downstairs area up to the upstairs.
Doesn't that always
my
happen
gosh.
anyway, regardless if your basement's haunted or not?
What?
It's like you run up the stairs so quick because something's going to grab your foot.
I know. It's just you did not want to be down there in the dark.
No. Well, I'm excited for our guest tonight. We'll share more about her here shortly. She'll be joining us just after the first break. Until then, we're going to hang out with you and talk to you about your week.
Yeah.
So as you're popping in, let us know. How was your week, everyone? We love hearing from you.
What's happening in your world?
Yeah, share with us.
Mm-hmm.
We like it. We like it a lot. If you guys want to know more about myself, AJ, and Natalie, go check out soulwanderings.com. You can learn about us both there and what we are up to and what we do during the day when we're not here hanging out with you. We basically are doing the same thing, just not on live radio.
It's true.
We are assisting other humans in their
Soul
human
wandering.
journey. Yeah. In their human experiences. And it's really quite awesome. Natalie facilitates and hosts different types of grief groups. Suicide loss and grief, and she does one-on-one coaching in that arena as well. She's also a spectacular and knowledgeable human design facilitator. So that's
it's so much
amazing.
fun.
It is so good. And then I own and operate a heart-centered healing space and offer crystal healing and
the magic that you do.
and
And the products you create.
I do a lot of herbal products, and I was going to say art because, that's what started it all. However, it's coming back. We've taken a break, but
I'm so
back.
excited because I'm ready to just snatch up a few pieces that you put on sale.
They're piling up.
Just waiting for you to say they're available.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put my money down.
Yeah.
I have lots of original art on my walls. I enjoy having original.
I think it's so much fun, and I love supporting other artists. My goal is to have my entire living room with just different artist work, and we're going to stutter tonight, y'all.
Well,
different art pieces of all kinds. My house is going to end up being very quirky and artistic. No white walls and art everywhere.
It's beautiful. It's kind of like that. My house is kind of like that. I actually have lots of art that I've collected various places.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we went to I took a couple of trips to the Virgin Islands,
Mhm.
and there's lots of like artists and
Yeah.
shops there, and I would pick up different pieces, and some of them got shipped to my house, and they're on the walls.
That's so neat.
It is fun.
It is fun. What do you guys like to collect?
Tell us on the chat.
Yeah, let's talk in the chat. We are hanging out on rumble.com under KGRA Digital Broadcasting. We're also on Facebook under the same KGRA Digital Broadcasting. And of course, go to kgradb.com. That's where you'll find our show. There's a plethora of many other shows. There's a lot of shows, you guys. A lot of shows. And they're ranging in all kinds of anomalous topics and such. And I went through it the other day. I've had a little bit of time just hanging out with my grandbaby. And while he naps, I'm like
Aw.
researching new guests and things like that. And I had jumped over to KGRA to see what was new. And it's a full lineup every day of the week. So I highly recommend you visit kgradb.com. And also, you guys, there's a free offering. If you want to do a trial in the members area for a week, you definitely can do that. If you go over to Wednesday night under Soul Wanderings, you can click on the Soul Wanderings link and it'll take you right below our banner. There is a membership access where you can get a free week trial. You can subscribe annually or monthly, and that will give you 30% off either one of those memberships if you decide to stick around after the week, which I'm pretty sure you will.
Plus, there's all this special. It's different when you're a member, right? You get special access.
Yeah, you get behind the scenes access. So, yes, there's live shows. You can jump on that for free all the time. You can watch live shows all the time. We're over there right now. But if you want access to the last 6 years of Soul Wanderings, you can do that in the members area or anyone else's archives. And there's also behind the scenes content. So when management or the team, whoever is behind the scenes here at KGRA, Warren, Jimmy, Eric, Bill, all those people, they will do interviews at different expos and events. And so those exclusive interviews and things like that are behind the scenes.
It's lots to choose from.
Plus there's other stuff they're creating and doing, which is pretty neato. We're really fortunate to be part of such a fantastic platform. It's pretty neato.
Yeah.
Neato Bambito. They also have it looks like they just added their first pay-per-view, so that's neat. It hasn't aired yet. It's actually going to be live and interactive on Saturday, April 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, wow.
It's an exclusive live stream event, Alien Abduction Answers. I've heard about that one for a while. So that will be cool. It's also a great way for you to support the station, everyone. I mean, the station isn't super easy to run, and all of it comes out of the owner's pocket. And every time someone subscribes, it just really helps us make the station a better platform and easier access for everyone to.
Enables it to keep running.
Absolutely.
These things don't just run just because it does cost money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we like sticking around here, so.
We enjoy doing it.
But moving on, do you have any nuggets for the week?
I do. So I've been thinking about mind, body, spirit. We talk about these things all the time. But today, since I was doing my own body maintenance, I was thinking about that mind, body, spirit connection and then focusing on the body. So I hang around someone that does work on cars a lot. And so I get this insight to how people do or do not maintain their cars. And so a car runs, and it can run for a very long time, but if it isn't maintained, regular fluids, regular checkups. Things just break down. It's really fascinating to see different cars that have been held by different people in their ownership, and exactly some of the things I see, like broken door handles, I'm like, I don't know how that happens because I've never had a car door handle break off. But different people take different care of their vehicles, and our body is our vehicle, and so it does require maintenance. And so I was going to the chiropractor today because that's one of the things I've found that is very healthy for me to maintain my body. For years, I was like not really sure. I'd never had a chiropractic appointment. And then once I had a chiropractor appointment, I understood, oh my goodness, this is a very healthy. I would rather go to the chiropractor than the pharmacy.
Right. I go every week. I get it. That is on my list of caring for my vehicle.
So our vehicles require regular maintenance. And so one aspect of this mind, body, spirit connection is maintaining the body. Healthy food, excuse me. Healthy food and what you ingest is very important. What you think is important as well. And so it's like that mind, body, spirit connection. We deal with it all the time, but it's to bring it up again, it's important to realize that.
It's nice to have the reminder. I mean, regardless if you're in a practice of your own and you are taking care of your vehicle, it's nice to have a reminder. And also other people, like how they're taking care of their vehicle, because it may be something that could benefit you as well. And as far as the mind goes, like that is part of it as also, because we can teach each other, we can help each other. And that's part of the brain food.
It's so true. And the thoughts that you're thinking. So on my group yesterday, I'm just choking on this concept or something.
Do we need to work harder on our vehicle, Natalie?
I think I'm going through. Yes. Well, it's a there's no days off of being able to maintain our vehicle.
Just different levels of care.
Yes. I think my body is still processing what I had kind of moved this morning. Yesterday, we were talking about, in my grief group, we were talking about alone and lonely and how people are experiencing loneliness because their spouse has died. And so they are spending a lot more time alone because of the death of their spouse. And then that creates this loneliness. So I was asking one gentleman about what his thought stream is while he's going through this. And he says, yeah, it's really negative thoughts. So I was talking about how it's important to pay attention to our thought stream. And it's okay for it to go for a little while because you're going through an experience that's difficult. But there's a time where you say, okay, enough. And you just clean up that.
Yeah.
And cleaning it up can be as simple as this is what I've done before in my life. I've had this conversation. It's been streaming in my head for 3 hours and I'm over it. Done.
Just making a conscious decision, like enough is enough.
And expressing it with some sort of command within my, even I've even said it out loud.
That. Yeah, I get that. I've had to say things out loud because sometimes, it's just human nature, right? We get on this continuous loop and not all of it is positive. And at some point you're got to be like, okay,
done.
We're done talking about this. We're going to stop this broken record right now. You do. You have to give yourself commands.
Oh, yes.
For your mental health.
Right. So don't be afraid to say that. Shush.
I speak to myself out loud often because the voices in my head are what is needing to be shut down.
Right.
So if I say it out loud, it's a command.
So we are responsible we're really responsible for the culture that's inside of us. We get a lot of conditioning from the way that we were raised, maybe our religion, maybe our the books that we read, the framework that we attend to, those kind of things, our belief systems. And so we get that framework, but keeping that culture, every individual knows whether they're happy or not. And maybe it's not even happiness, but just whether or not that feels good, that internal dialogue. Nobody else can get in there and change the dialogue. That's up to each person's individual nature and how they operate on their everyday. So I just bring that up to say it's important. If you would not say that to your best friend, to your kiddos, to anyone outside of you, please don't let that happen in your head.
Right. You mean if you would say that to someone
Right.
else?
Well, right. If you're not willing, so if what you're saying to yourself in your thought stream and is not something that you would say to another person, stop saying it to yourself. Because it's that internal cheerleader or not.
It's true.
That has a very big effect.
I like your Natalie nugget.
I'm serious about it. Yesterday I was so passionate.
And it's carried on through today.
It's so important. I see so many people drugged down by their internal thought process. Where they're not nice to themselves.
Oh, I mean, I've even been there. I think
too.
anyone has. You don't know until you know, right?
Right.
And so with that being said, I just have to say this. Natalie shares this nugget, but we're all where we are. And not all of us are at the point where we can say out loud, that's enough. But all I can say is no matter where you're at, just be really gentle with yourself. Right. Because we are so hard on ourselves, right? And it's so easy to do and get stuck in that loop that she's referring to. And when you do that on repeat, it becomes very exhausting, and it becomes even easier to be hard on yourself in those moments of weakness or what looks and feels like weakness. It doesn't mean that you are weak.
No.
But yeah, with ease and grace, be kind to yourself.
That's so true.
I just have to say that because there have been times where I have been in a loop and I've stayed in the loop and I have said some really, really mean things to me.
Oh,
I mean, it really wasn't until a couple of years that I came into a place that I am now with myself.
Yay.
And I even catch myself at times falling into those old patterns of thought processes because when you're tired or stressed or exhausted or whatever that looks like, it's really easy to fall back.
Oh, for sure.
And so just the reminder that you're worth caring for.
Yeah.
And taking care of. And so we're giving you permission to tell yourself to shut up sometimes.
When that is something that would benefit by being shut down, shut it down.
Yes. Be done and good for it. So tonight, we're going to be interviewing or hanging out with, we don't really interview anyone. No. Let's be real. We're going to be hanging out with Rebecca Pittman, and she has been on a ton of shows. In fact, she's even been a TV host and radio host herself.
I know, she has quite the resume.
Even a runway model.
Oh.
It's pretty cool. But her favorite things to research is history and hauntings. In fact, she has a little blip right on her website, RebeccaPittmanBooks.com. We'll share that throughout the show, so don't worry. It says, welcome. There is something about a haunted house, an unsolved mystery, or a crime scene that captivates us. The clues and darkened hallways await, shrouded in secrets. Join me as we peek through the keyhole at some of the most famous hauntings and true crime events from which nightmares are born. See why it's right up my alley? I love the dark stuff. I am love and light, but I love the dark stuff. I'm a fan of history. I'm a fan of hauntings, and I'm definitely a fan of true crime. In fact, everyone's like, why don't you have a true crime podcast? Well, because there's a million gazillion of them.
Right.
And I want to share a higher vibe. Yeah. I want to help people heal. And I just do that stuff on the side.
Well, sometimes it's like you bring all of your hobby into it. It's like, no, this is so you though.
Oh yeah, I'm right where I'm
This.
meant to be,
Oh,
right?
right.
But I mean, my whole life I was fascinated with history and crime. And I mean, I went to college for it. I mean, I'm obsessed with it. I'm still obsessed with it, but I love that she is too, and she's doing something about it. She's written several books that range from like the witch trials to the haunting of the Stanley Hotel. Have you ever been there?
No.
Lizzie Borden,
Oh.
one of my favorite stories. The Palace of Versailles. I love period pieces of any kind in the histories.
I did go to the Winchester Mystery House.
Oh, really?
Years and years
in
ago.
California.
Mhm.
Me too. Yeah.
That was an interesting.
It was way years ago. I was like
mine too.
probably 19. It was a hot minute ago,
Yeah.
but I remember it well. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that sounds like that probably we would have been there at similar times. So maybe we were there at the same time.
It wouldn't cease to amaze me. Like our paths have crossed many times without us knowing.
It's so true.
It's pretty neat.
That was a fascinating kind of thing. Where else? Oh, I had my experience. Like I have these photographs that were when I was on St. John, the island of St. John. There was at the end of Highway 10. It was just an interesting vibe there. Some of the places on the island and where there was piracy and stuff like that.
Where is that at?
So on St. John, Virgin Islands.
Yeah. Never been.
That we had to go on a ferry to get there. Had to drive the car onto a ferry and then go across the ocean a bit. It was a grand adventure.
It sounds like it.
It was kind of fun.
I
Never
would
done that
say
before.
so.
It was really an enjoyable trip. Then we drove around. It was so stormy. There was a tropical storm like there, going over the island for most of the time that we were on this trip. So I'd never been in so much torrential rain, and it didn't stop us. We would drive around in the car and even in the rain.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Sounds like a grand adventure.
Wet. But it was a little bit, it was my one friend who is sensitive to spirit. She was like, I don't like it out here. We need to go back.
Yeah.
And then after we looked at the camera, there were some images on the camera film.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, where
shows up.
There's history everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah.
We would be really naive to think that nothing's going to show up on some kind of like photo.
Right.
What are you most looking forward to with our guest tonight?
Well, it's someone with some sort of, the thing that I really enjoy about being on the show with you is the ability to talk with people that have done some amazing accomplishments in their life. And then I get to like be the co-host and talk to them and all their accomplishments. And so I that's really what I'm looking forward to, someone who's been in media and all those things that she has on her accomplishments and just visiting with her. And hearing more about the true crime and things like that. And then watching your face where you're just like, oh, this is fun.
I know. I'm going to be like a little kid in a candy shop because it's just my favorite things to talk about. They make me happy.
Watching you in your jam.
Not that the issues that took place when it happened make me happy.
Right.
But the mystery and the, figuring it out and the solving or not knowing, the mysterious nature of it all.
Right.
Excites me.
The
psychology behind a lot of it. Excites me.
Yeah.
I just think it's very interesting. So everyone, stay close. After we have our first break here in just a few short moments, we will bring on our new guest for this evening. I'm excited. Stay close.
Hundreds of thousands of people have claimed contact. If you're met face to face with something so alien, that will change you. It changed me.
Strange things would happen. This was something that I kept buried for years.
On Saturday, April 29th, KGRA Digital Broadcasting and Virgil Films have partnered to bring you an event that could open your mind to new possibilities. Watch John Yost recount his story in his documentary, Alien Abduction Answers. After the movie, participate in a live interactive panel where you can ask your questions in real time. You don't want to miss this event. Go to kgradb.com to claim your spot.
Did you know 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? If you struggle with focus, run low on energy, or when it's time to finally sleep, you simply can't, this can all be linked to dehydration, and Fuel Up has the answer. Our proprietary formula contains the finest cellular hydration with the strongest immune-enhancing natural ingredients. The Fuel Up system is made up of 3 different incredibly tasting varieties. Wake kickstarts your day with a jolt of caffeine. Play boosts focus while hydrating your cells. Rest not only helps you relax, but also rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. Here's what our clients have to say.
I really don't miss my coffee, and you can tell the difference.
So I'm going to take it for the energy. I'm going to take it for the play. I'm going to take it, all day.
And it works. That's the thing. It works. We love it.
Take the Fuel Up Challenge now, where we offer a Feel the Difference money-back guarantee. Fuel Up for life.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Soul Wanderings, hosted here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I am AJ.
And I am Natalie.
And we are your hosts of Soul Wanderings. And we are going to bring on our guest for the evening so we can continue to spend the next 90 minutes with her.
I enjoy doing that with our guests, having them.
So good. Yes. So
for the hour and a half. Yay.
Without further ado, Rebecca Pittman is a best-selling author in several genres. Her popular history and haunting series of books have been spotlighted on various TV, radio, and podcast forums. She is a former TV talk show host, muralist, escape room owner, game creator, and runway model who finds mysteries irresistible. Right up our alley. Hello, Rebecca.
Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Oh, we're so good, and we're so excited to have you with us tonight.
Well, I'm excited to be here. I was listening to you, and the fact that you love the mysteries and the puzzles of true crime and paranormal, I feel like I'm home. So,
oh, good. Oh, yeah, this has been a lifelong passion. I would call it a passion. I'm obsessed. I always have some kind of true crime or paranormal or history, something going on in the background, or my face is right in it.
There's times I wonder if there's something wrong with me, because all I want to watch are the mysteries or Dateline or whatever, until someone else says, "Can we please watch a comedy or something else?" And I'm going, "Oh, okay."
I can totally relate to that. Everyone says, "Why aren't you depressed all the time with how heavy this stuff is that you're always listening to?" Yeah. I balance it out with spirituality books or self-help books, but I definitely have the higher percentage in in what you are up to. So tonight's going to be really fun for me. Natalie's fascinated too.
I am fascinated. Well, it's an interesting thing because the work that I do, especially if I'm working with, so I do grief groups with suicide loss. So I hear these different stories about suicide, and it's not true crime, but there's this aspect of violence that is when listening to people, and that doesn't bother me at all. That ability to be, some people wonder, like, I work in heavy work. And so that's so I am just intrigued. I'm just going to be watching you two. Just go for it.
Oh, well, I'm going to be watching Rebecca. No pressure.
Oh, okay, no pressure. Okay, in all candor, I thought this was an audio only. And I was in my comfy burgundy robe about 5 minutes ago. And when I signed into your studio, I went, whoops. So,
oh my goodness. I'm so sorry you didn't know.
No, I don't know. I love doing these shows, and I'm usually good about knowing whether they're radio or there's some video involved. So you've heard of fireside chats. We almost had a bedside chat here, but no, I appreciate you guys. I appreciate what you do. I know you're into healing. There's so much out there that I love with quantum physics and consciousness. And to me, true crime and the paranormal really all fit into that.
Absolutely.
And AJ, I heard you say that there's a lot of psychology, and there absolutely is in true crime. It's one of the things I can't look away from, because most of these people are narcissists that believe they're entitled to take lives if they get in their way. And the psychology of that is amazing. And I wait to see what trips them up. It's my favorite part. What was that one mistake they made? Don't you think that's interesting?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I went to college for criminal because my plan was to be an investigator, to go to different crime scenes, like CSI, similar to. And it was mostly because of that, like figuring out that little nugget where they messed up and how the pieces all fall together.
Well,
the mystery of everything is just, it's just fun. It's fun to me. It's like solving a puzzle.
Well, it is. They are puzzles. When I wrote about, are you familiar with the Pam Hupp case in St. Louis? No. That was my last book. It really went through the roof when Renee Zellweger did the NBC series on it.
I was going to say, wasn't it made into a short series?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the one thing that Pam did, and it was greed, was one of her victims. There were 3. In fact, her death penalty trial is coming up next July, not this year, but next year, for killing her best friend. But the one gentleman she set up and murdered in cold blood, total stranger, she was supposed to put $1,000 in his pocket, 10 $100 bills, but out of greed, she kept a $100 bill and put it in her nightstand rather than put the whole thing in his pocket. When they found the money in his pocket, found the $100 bill in her nightstand, they were in perfect sequential order.
Oh my goodness.
They had never been circulated. So they said the odds of this dead guy that she said she never met, knew nothing about, and her having a $100 bill in the same sequential order as the 9 that were in his pocket were astronomical.
Right.
So that's what I'm talking about, is that one thing that if she hadn't done that, I think they still would have found her, but that didn't help.
I think that's the case quite often. It just takes one little mess up in the heat of the moment where they just aren't thinking clearly. I mean, they're not thinking clearly from the beginning, right? But it just takes that one little mess up to get them caught. How did you get into the true crime to begin with, Rebecca?
I don't think it was much of a segue from the paranormal, because again, it is puzzles and clues and the unknown. But my History and Haunting series of books, which are about usually the top 10 most haunted places in the world that are national landmarks that just happen to be very haunted. Well, one of them was Lemp Mansion in St. Louis, which is incredibly haunted. And I made a lot of friends while I was out there researching that book. So when I live in Colorado, and when I got back home about a year and a half ago, my friend out there, Patty Bath, texted me. She goes, "Have you heard of this crazy case going on out here?" And I said, "No." She told me, and when I looked it up, I went, "Oh, I have to do this." So I actually ended up getting to work with the prosecuting attorneys and the detectives, and what an amazing experience. But that woman's evil. I mean, there's just no other word for her. So then when the Alec Murdaugh case, which is going on right now in South Carolina, happened, I thought, here we go again, and I had to do that. So I'm writing that book right now, and it has to be out May 28th.
Oh, wow. Yeah. See, I never really got into the Alex Murdaugh case because it's just some of the cases that are just so big like that. I kind of am like, no, I'm good, because it's so much and so
Tell me about it.
So many directions. I'm just like, I'm going to step away from this one and let the public have this one, because it's just, I like the ones that we're not hearing about in media. You know, the ones that aren't famous and people don't know what's going on, because there's a lot of cases, especially unsolved cases, that we will never know about. They just go unseen or unheard of. And I just feel like really getting into those cases that haven't been picked apart in every which direction are just more interesting to me. Maybe because I don't have someone dropping clues in my ear through different avenues, you know, like I can try to figure it out.
That's really interesting. Like cold cases, or not necessarily?
Oh, I love cold cases.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a really neat show on television I just stumbled upon called A Crime to Remember. Have you watched any of those?
I've never even heard of them.
Really well done. They're old cold cases. Well, they're not cold cases, but they're old cases that can go back to the 1920s.
Oh my gosh.
Really well done show. I was very impressed with it.
Well, I'll have to check it out. I most of the stuff that I watch isn't on TV, like on regular TV. It'd have to be like on a, what do they call those? Like Netflix or Hulu or something.
Sure, the streaming platforms, yeah.
They just have different stuff than the regular TV.
This is true. The problem with the Murdaugh case is it just changes every day. And I'm trying to get this book done. I mean, I'm already at like 400 pages and I haven't even done the trial yet. Every day it's like breaking news. I'm going, no more breaking news. I just want to get the book done. But you've got 5 murders around this family, and they just exhumed Stephen Smith, and now they may exhume Gloria Satterfield. And I'm going, this book will never be done. But it has to be, because it's up for pre-order. So I probably will have sequels to it. But
I was going to say,
that's you. I'm going, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy though too. And what you like, most people don't just kill one time. And especially when it's around that type of greed, they've got to cover their tracks left and right. And so, I mean, if they kill once, they're going to do it again because they need to protect themselves.
I don't know how they keep up with all the lies. And in Pam's case and in this one, I'm like, how in the world did you tap dance through all of that? He changed his alibi like 5 times. So I don't know. What do you think, Natalie? Weigh in here.
She doesn't even know what we're talking about.
It's fascinating with that when you're saying that psychology of someone that's a killer, they just have a different framework in the mind. Something is shut down to be able to take someone else's life.
Absolutely. It's an aberration, don't you think? It's just, there's no soul in it. There's no guilt. I don't even know if sociopath touches it. There's just something really wrong. And then to kill your own wife and son, although I believe the son was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And I plan to put that in the book, even though the trial did not say that. I'm still going to put it what I think happened. But yeah, it is I don't know. People say, doesn't that bother you? Or don't, when you go run into ghosts and have this haunted stuff happen to you, isn't that scary? Well, after writing about Pam and Alex, I'm going, it's not the ghosts I'm afraid of, it's the living people.
Right.
The ghosts aren't going to hurt me.
The crazy thing is, if you were to go off of like looks alone, like how do you tell who is capable of doing such a thing? You look at Pam or you look at Alex, like they don't look like people who would be these type of humans.
Killers.
Yeah, they're murderers. Like you wouldn't think in a million years that they would be. You just never know who your neighbor is. You just don't. And people break at all times for all different reasons. And I think that's why all of us are so fascinated with it in general. Like true crime is really popular to watch and listen to.
I think it and paranormal are the two biggest genres, which I just happened to luck out. I did not start out to do this. I was a muralist, and I painted 4,000 wall murals across the country.
Oh, wow.
And I lived 45 minutes from the Stanley Hotel in Colorado, and I would go up there twice a month, and I was surprised nobody had written a comprehensive book about it. You know, it inspired Stephen King to write The Shining. You've got the whole Stanley Steamer motor car behind it. Mm-hmm. So I got permission from the owner and wrote it. And while I'm writing it, somebody says, have you heard of the Myrtles Plantation? Have you heard of Limp Mansion? Have you heard of Lizzie Borden? And suddenly I had a career. But I love it. I love the research. I adore the research. It's my favorite part.
Yeah. What makes it so exciting for you?
I think the digging through the old newspapers and the archives and finding things that the owners didn't even know about. Mm-hmm. Do you mind if I give you an example?
Absolutely.
Well, Limp Mansion is still not on a lot of people's radar in St. Louis. Oh my gosh, that place is so haunted. But the Limps, L-E-M-P, introduced lager beer to America in the mid 1800s. And, well, here's St. Louis, you know, the beer brewing capital. They actually were outdoing Anheuser-Busch, although it was just Busch at the time. So anyway, long story short, richest family in St. Louis. And over the generations, 3 of the Limp men, beginning with the father, shot themselves within the mansion. And this is not all at once. This is over years. And the daughter, which at the time of her parents' death became the richest single woman in St. Louis, was found shot in her own mansion 10 minutes away. So you have 4 members of this wealthy family that are dead by gunshot. You have underground caves that lead to the brewery. They had a swimming pool and the caves underground, and a ballroom and a theater. And you had Vincent Price spend the night there because he was friends with Charles Limp. It has all of this history. Well, while I was researching the book, and I knew a little of the story, I didn't know all of it yet. And you can spend the night there. It's an inn and a restaurant. And I was researching the father who shot himself first, and I knew he'd shot himself in the head. Well, when I got the coroner's report, I went, what? And it said on there that there were 2 more bullet holes in the wardrobe next to him, that he sat on the bed and shot himself in the head. And I thought, there were 3 shots? I mean, did he flinch twice and miss? Or was it a practice shot? But that's one of the things I'm talking about. And the owners had never heard about it. And I took that to them. And I also found where Charles Limp, the last one to kill himself in the home, actually died. I think they thought it was somewhere else. Things like that. But one of the nights I slept there, I heard 2 gunshots in the hallway and a dog bark.
Oh my gosh.
And It was one of the most chilling moments of my life. And it was like 5:15 in the morning. I had a flight to Louisiana and I was already awake, and I'm laying there doing what you do. Like, okay, I got to get a rental car when I get there. And and the bedroom where William shot himself was right there. It was through the pocket doors, which were open. So I could look right there and see where he'd shot himself. And I heard bang, bang, roar, really loud. And my sister, who lived in St. Louis, was sleeping in the bed next to me. She's snoring. But her 20-year-old son, who had stayed that night, was on the couch, and he leaned up. And I said, Bo, did you hear those gunshots? And he said, no, but I heard a dog, a really big one. So I don't know if the shots woke him up and he heard the dog part. But when I got into more of the research and finally got to Charles Limp, the last one to kill himself, he had shot his dog first.
Oh,
Because he didn't want to leave it without him. The mansion was empty at this point. He was a recluse, riddled with arthritis. And one stormy night, he shot his dog and then himself.
Oh, wow.
He left a note for some caregivers what to do with the dog. But what's always bothered me, you guys, is the lineup. It should have been the dog bark first, you would think. But what I heard was the 2 gunshots and then the dog bark. But that's a residual haunting that the house was playing back. And it's still one of my favorite things that's ever happened to me.
I love when you have experiences that back up the research, right?
Yeah.
Even though that is terrifying, it's still really neat to have that experience that you had. Are you the type of person who can feel energy or see spirit, or are you going in more with a logical and emotional mindset?
I've been told I'm an empath. I'm just way too sentimental. I've never seen a full body apparition. I would love to, but I've had a lot of things happen to me. At this same mansion, another night I slept up in the attic and something kicked the bed and sat on my feet.
Oh my
and
God.
I had the distinct impression it was a child. And I found out later that there was a little boy who would frequent the attic. I'm so sentimental. I'm the kind that just wants to say, come tell me what happened to you, and pat the couch and ask the ghost to come tell me stuff. But in all honesty, I never go in looking for it. I have no ghost hunting equipment. I have nothing. I have a recorder when I'm interviewing people, and some things have shown up on the recorder. But every time something's happened to me, I wasn't expecting it. And I was looking over here or thinking of something else. And I don't know if that's part of it, because I think too many of the ghost hunting programs, it's almost like they have made them into a circus. Show me a sign. They demand that they, make themselves known. I find some of that disrespectful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I've never agreed with a majority of those shows. I'm sure there's some legitimacy to portions of some of the shows, but they have to have a certain kind of reaction on TV. I do find it very disrespectful though, because they are going to real places that are really haunted and they have that history there, and some of it is very dark, and they start stirring up that energy. It's only going to cause more issues. But if you do any kind of paranormal investigation, most of the time you're sitting there and a lot is not happening. So for them to get that much information all in one night to put on one show is just quite
suspect.
It is. It really is, in my opinion.
I feel kind of sorry for them. That's a lot of pressure. You have to perform. Every one of your TV shows has to show something, or you're going to lose ratings. So
I think that's when you start pushing the envelope a little bit and creating more than.
But I think that has a residual effect, right? I mean, because energy and spirit, they one and the same, but that will go with you or carry with you, or it's just like dusting. When you dust, all the dust comes up in the air. So you're just like bringing that all up to the surface. Things can happen in those spaces, especially when it isn't healed energy.
It's true.
Oh, I totally agree with you. When I was writing about Lizzie Borden, and I found 5 new pieces of evidence in that case.
Ooh,
I'm sleeping in her bed while I'm researching that book, and I'm laying there thinking, all of a sudden I'm laying there in the dark, and I'm actually trying to, feel how I'm going to write it. I wanted to take in the atmosphere and to know that she could have heard her parents through that wall, because they were right on the other side of the wall from her bed. And know that you're going to get up the next morning and take a hatchet to not only your stepmother, but your father. And I'm laying there trying to think, how do I write this? And then this thought came in my mind, she's probably not real happy you're here. You're writing a book that's literally calling her out as a murderer and finding new evidence, and you're laying in her bedroom. And it was for a little tinge of a moment, I was a little nervous. Later,
go ahead.
Well, after she was acquitted, she got her mansion on the hill that she'd wanted, Maplecroft. And I knew two of the previous owners, and it wasn't open to the public, and both of them were nice enough to let me stay there. So I've stayed a total of 8 different nights there, 6 nights at one time. And one of them gave me one of her doorknobs, which was a huge gift for me. But walking along those hallways, especially at Maplecroft, back in that era, the hallways were dark. They liked the heavy velvet drapes. They didn't have as many windows as we do today. And I had to walk way down a hall to get to the bathroom, and I was there all alone. And I'm walking past which was her bedroom, and I'm looking over at her sister's bedroom, Emma. And there's just, there's times you get the twinges, but I usually sleep pretty well.
Now, I feel like that would be quite terrifying to be in that situation. So. Do you think Lizzie really was the one that killed her parents, or do you feel like it could have been someone else, or quite possibly her sister Emma?
No, I'm pretty convinced that it was Lizzie, and I back it up with testimony from the trials. I read over 5,000 pages of trial transcripts.
Oh, wow.
That book took me 5 years. It's huge. It's a very big book, filled with photographs, which I love doing that because I guess I was a muralist. I like visual, and I always pack the books with photos and stuff. But no, I'm pretty sure she did it. And one of the things that she did, one of the pieces of evidence, was that 9 days before the murders, she took a little sneaky trip off into New Bedford. Nobody knew where she was. And later, when the police interviewed the lady at the boarding house she stayed with, she said, he said, was she in your sight at all times? She said, well, that one Saturday morning, she was gone for an hour and a half and came back with some new dress material. And so basically, I believe that while she was away, she had a loose-fitting dress made that fit over the one she killed Abby in. She knew probably the police would search the house. Back then, because of these big leg of mutton sleeves, I believe she tore the sleeves off of the dress she murdered Abby in and the hem, and went ahead and had this new dress over it, so that no policeman in the 1800s was going to look under a woman's dress. And she wore that dress for 3 days straight, the one she had made. Mm-hmm. And what I love in the testimony is, the neighbors, the people who saw her that morning, her best friends, her neighbors said, I'd never seen that dress before. And they described it as box pleats. So it was more loose fitting. And one of the policemen, bless his heart, that didn't know how to describe a pigeon dress, said it had a bosom in the waist, meaning it poofed out down here. Well, all of Lizzie's clothes were very form-fitting. And then at one point, her friend Alice, during the morning of the murders, Lizzie looked like she's going to faint, and I don't doubt it. She's wearing 2 dresses in the August heat. And her friend went to loosen it, and she grabbed her hand and she goes, I'm not faint, I'm fine. And she did not want her touching that dress. Mm-hmm. So what's interesting is that the murders were Thursday. Saturday night, the marshal and the mayor came over to warn them that the crowds outside were really bad and really ruly. There's 500 to 1,000 people hanging around this house. They said, stay in the house. And she said, why? Is somebody here expected? And he said, and he wouldn't answer her. He put her off. She goes, I want the truth. Is someone here expected? And he goes, well, I hate to say this, but yes, Miss Lizzie, you are. And the very next morning on Sunday, what does she do? She burned that dress that she'd had underneath her all the time that she murdered Abby with. And I believe she did because they just told her the night before she was a suspect. They could have taken her away at any time, and they would have basically put her in jail garb, some plain gray dress. They would have seen the murder dress underneath the other one. So she couldn't afford to wear it anymore. And she burned it the next morning. And Alice Russell, the same friend that was staying with them, came in and saw her doing it. And she said in her testimony, and I love this part, she goes, Lizzie was ripping down or pulling pieces of the dress out of the cupboard. And yet she was burning a whole skirt. And that had stains on it. And she told her it was paint stains. She'll see, and she almost puts it in Alice's face to where she has to back up. She'll see it's painted, it's ruined. And she put it in the stove in the fire. But the fact that Alice witnessed there were pieces of the dress makes me think it was the torn sleeves and the hem that she ripped off, that it wasn't just the full blouse top and the full skirt. So there was a whole bunch of things like that. But yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that she did it.
Yeah. There's just two sides, right? Some people believe she did, and some people believe she did not. But we're going to take our top of the hour break, and when we get back, we'll continue to hear some more stories from you. And I still have more questions on Lizzie Borden. It's one of the right. It's such a historical,
iconic
murder case. Like, there's just so much I want to learn, and I read and seen so much about it already. But I like your viewpoints, and what research you've done is interesting to us. So when we get back, we'll continue our wandering. Stay close, everyone.
Hey members, the new KGRA DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA DB.
Did you know 75% of Americans are chronically dehydrated? If you struggle with focus, run low on energy, or when it's time to finally sleep, you simply can't, this can all be linked to dehydration, and Fuel Up has the answer. Our proprietary formula contains the finest cellular hydration with the strongest immune-enhancing natural ingredients. The Fuel Up system is made up of 3 different incredibly tasting varieties. Wake kickstarts your day with a jolt of caffeine. Play boosts focus while hydrating your cells. Rest not only helps you relax, but also rejuvenates your cells while you sleep. Here's what our clients have to say.
I really don't miss my coffee, and you can tell the difference.
So I'm going to take it for the energy. I'm going to take it for the play. I'm going to take it, all day.
And it works. That's the thing. It works. We love it.
Take the Fuel Up Challenge now, where we offer a Feel the Difference money-back guarantee. Fuel Up for life.
You're listening to the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. We provide unparalleled coverage of trending news in the world of ufology, cryptozoology, and paranormal phenomenon. Whether you're watching our video live stream or listening to one of our audio programs, you are getting the best from world-renowned researchers and hosts, guiding you through topics the mainstream won't touch. Miss one of your favorite programs? No problem. Head over to the members area at kgradb.com for access to our massive library of award-winning content. Make contact, stay connected, only at kgradb.com.
Welcome back. 'Cause 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 'c
everyone. Welcome back to Soul Wanderings, hosted here on KGRA Digital Broadcasting. I am AJ.
And I am Natalie.
And tonight we are hanging out with Rebecca Pittman. And she has a knowledge of all things history, haunting, and true crime. Plus, you've done a lot of other things in your life. You have quite the resume.
Oh, well, thank you. My mother taught modeling before I was born. She ran a modeling agency out of her home, and I happened to end up being 6'2".
Oh my goodness. And wasn't that it actually in Salt Lake?
It was in Salt Lake, yes.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
She was amazing. She won international modeling competitions. She beat out Paris and New York, and yet she taught out of her home in Salt Lake City. I was very proud of her. Her main thing, though, was to try to give women a sense of self-esteem. We did fashion shows, and it was the makeup and the modeling, but her main thing was to make people find their core confidence and to feel good about themselves. And I always admired her for that.
I love that. I think it's so important, especially in that industry. I was in it when I was younger. I'm not 6'2". I did other types of modeling, but it is a very high pressure industry where you are always having to be aware of what you look like. And so having someone who's supporting the models like your mother did and helping them with their self-esteem and being confident in who they are is just a beautiful thing. I'm so glad that she was able to do that.
I learned a lot from her, and I think that's where some of my sentimentality comes from, because I got my height early in 9th grade, and I got made fun of every day. I was the tallest girl in school, and I would come home crying and begging her not to make me go back. And she said, "You put your shoulders back. You are going to love that someday." Yeah. And once the boys started growing in high school, I was happy. I haven't looked back. I wouldn't trade an inch of it, but that's the kind of thing she did. She would encourage people to be their best. I would see these women, she had all ages, up to mature women come and take her courses. I'd see them walk in with no eye contact, shoulders slumped, just no sense of themselves. And within the 6 months that she worked with them, I didn't recognize them. They had their shoulders back. They had a sparkle to their eyes. I get a little emotional. I'm just really proud of what she did to encourage people to go after their dreams. She was always there for me, whether I was painting or singing or writing. I mean, she was there with the microphone or the paintbrush or the laptop. And I miss her every day because she was such a support.
Aww. I'm so glad you had her as a mother then.
Well, you would like this part. She had some psychic ability, and I'm very jealous of that because I don't think I have any. I've been told I'm an empath, but I don't know how you distinguish whether you're an empath or just empathetic. But when my sister's a year younger, we were like 6 and 7 years old, and we were riding in California to go see my uncle, my mom's brother. And this is a long time ago. And she suddenly veers off the road. I thought she'd hit something and pulled over and burst out crying. And I said, "Mom, what's the matter?" And I really did. I thought she'd hit something. And she said, "My mother just died." Well, my grandmother lived in another state. This was before cell phones or anything else. And I thought, how in the world would you know that? So she pulled herself together. We went the 5 minutes to get to my uncle's house. He came out the door crying and said, "Sis, Mom just died." So it was my first glimpse that there is something more out there. And there were other things that she could do. And I don't have that. But she was my first eye opener that, wow, there's a lot more out there that I can't explain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there is, isn't there? As you have come to know.
We all have our talents.
Let me ask you this. What do you guys think of remote viewing?
Oh, go AJ, tell her.
I actually have trained with Michelle on remote viewing. And I definitely believe that it's real. I've had my own experiences that have even blown my mind. And it's been kept as a secret weapon, if you will, for a reason, because it's legit. It's definitely, there's something about it that is very real.
Well, she asked me, Michelle, she told me about it. And she goes, what do you think of it? I said, I absolutely believe in it. I went to a lecture on Beyond Belief with George Norrie, where they had the expert on. And Bloom, I still don't know how it works. I mean, just to give you guys a target number and a very simple, I'm still going boom. But I said, sure, I'll give it a try. She goes, I don't want to know a name. I don't want to know who you're talking about. I just give me 2 questions. I said, all right, location, and can they tell me what they see going on around it? She had no idea. She didn't want to know. Well, I knew what I was hoping for. So they started, and I don't know if you were one of them, but they started sending in the reports, and I just about died. I won't go into a lot of detail because I can't, because if this turns out to be true, I did turn it over to law enforcement. But the one that blew my mind was, it said on there, I see headlines, 2 lines, the word cracking. It had cracking in quotes. I did one of these, and I was sitting there with my husband, and I'd read the reports, but I'd put them away. And they were written at the end of February. This is now April, when we were sitting there, I brought him out to look them over again, and I went, oh my gosh. And he said, what? And I went and I said, look at this article. And it was April 1st. And keep in mind, these reports were written at the end of February, and it was a headline, 2 lines, SLED cracks the phone. And then it had the second line of the headline, and cracks was in quotes.
Oh my goodness. I love it.
And I'm there standing up again, every hair on I said, there's no way that's a coincidence. There's absolutely no way. SLED is South Carolina's law enforcement. But and then the other things they did, including the drawings were insane. And I said, I'll never doubt this ever again. Yeah. Isn't that incredible?
Yes. Yes. Every time I say that when I work with remote viewing, and especially when it like when the facts are there afterwards and it's proven, like what you saw, it's always a mind-blowing experience, and you can't write it off as a coincidence, because all you do is get a target number.
Yeah.
Literally. And it's any number, like anyone could make up, like any number. But the energy attached to the number that they give you, and when you remote view it, it's crazy what you can come up with.
Well, actually, there were things in there that have not come to light at all. And I've turned it over to SLED. Mm-hmm. And I said, I can't ignore this. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this will mean anything to you. And it was something different, including drawings. And I said, but I want to send them to you in case they ring a bell with you while you're doing your investigation. But if that one turns out to be true too, that's amazing. And it may have actually solved a murder. Wow. So, wow. Yeah. I admire you guys. Is that training? I mean, I know people have said everybody has psychic ability, but how in the world do you know how to do that?
It's not, I don't feel like it's a psychic ability myself. You'd have to ask Michelle where she feels in that realm. But when I took the training, and she's asked me to be in additional groups to do stuff like that, like what you've asked for, and got all of that information. It literally is.
It's an ability.
It's a multi-dimensional reading, if you will. Like we all have the ability to learn, right? Mm-hmm. And what the remote viewing that I learned from Michelle by taking her course was transdimensional. So the way that you go into it literally is like a trance state, and it can last for seconds to minutes to hours. So like in the beginning, I would just go into this state just for a couple of seconds and get something and then come out, and I'd have to go back into it again later. But over time, as I've practiced, I can stay in that state longer. But you get images, you get words, you get symbols, you get all kinds of things that come through your mind's eye. It's quite interesting when you start practicing it and using it, how amazing of a tool it can be.
But
Even
how do
just
you, I
finding
mean,
it-
the fact that they zeroed in on what I was hoping for,
Yeah.
and I didn't give them anything. How did they know that? They have all the things in the
I
world.
know, right? Everything is energy.
It's a target. I mean, there's a
You
target.
give it, you give it a target number, and they're able to hone in onto that energy that you put out there. I know I can understand it, and there are people who teach it that probably don't even understand it in its entirety. But it is amazing, and I was always fascinated with it before I took the course with Michelle. And I thought, well, it's pretty cool. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I'm going to try. And when I first started doing it and getting actual information on targets, I was like, okay, what superpower is this? And how am I doing it? Like, how am I, me? How is this even possible? But
That's
it
amazing.
is with the proper training.
That's amazing. I have 4 grown sons, and they all think they're Jim Carrey. And I told them I was interested in it, and they went, "No, Mom, no." I said, "Why?" And they said, "We don't need you spying on our dates." I'm going, "Oh, brother."
It's not, I mean, it could be like that, but it's not quite like that.
You'd have to meet these guys. Oh my gosh. I'm 6'2". They're 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", and 6'8", and they pat me on the head and call me kid.
Oh my.
That's awesome.
I adore them. But no, that's fascinating. I mean, I will never doubt. There's no way. There's just no way that headline thing. There's no way. And then to have it in quotes, even the word cracking, and I'm wow.
It really is neat. I love remote viewing, and I can't wait to train some more with Michelle, because it really is quite awesome. No doubt about it.
Well, I love your show. I love the topics that you guys get into. Well, it's not just esoteric. It's,
we talk about everything. We're
yes,
human. We just like to hear about human experiences. And I feel like sharing stories with each other also helps each other, right?
Yes.
We're here to support each other and help each other home, whatever that looks like. And someone may not go through what the other person's going through, but that doesn't mean their story can't inspire or motivate or whatever to that other human being, right? That's what it's all about.
Well, and I totally believe that people come into your life right when they're supposed to. I don't believe in accidents or coincidences. And when you start looking and following the breadcrumbs, you can see what led you to where you are. And even the times you thought was a thump on the head was actually for your good and propelled you to where you needed to go. Yes. It's a much better way to live your life than thinking, why is this happening to me? Right. I learned a long time ago to change that, to say, what is this trying to teach me? What lesson am I supposed to get from this? And boy, does that make a difference.
Yes.
Huge difference.
Yeah, it changes everything. It changes the perspective in every situation when you go into it like that.
So one of the things that I've picked up along the way is that so you guys are fascinated by the true crime, but there's a ripple effect from like suicide loss or murder. There can be this ripple effect for the people that they get affected by the violent or the death or that thing that's happening. Then there can be a ripple effect, which can be positive. So it's like this billiard sort of thing that'll knock a person into a different trajectory. So there's even that effect that from these situations that are really horrible. I remember one specifically with a family after a suicide loss. The sister of her, it was her brother that died by suicide, and she underwent such a shift after his death, where she was on one track that wasn't healthy, and it really moved her into another track that was much healthier after his death.
Wow.
So there's this other that's on a bigger, like, universal level for these things where they can be so horrific, or they can appear to be, but there can be a much bigger meaning that could be gleaned.
I like that. That's amazing. And the thing is we don't ever know until it happens to us. And sometimes we're not aware of it until years later because it didn't sink in at that moment.
Well, yeah, that's not the moment where it's like the butterfly effect, where it's down the road where you get that exponential result.
Right.
Where the flapping of the wings is in that really difficult, dark place, and then the result later on.
I just, when you see that there is someone else's hand in your life, and that, oh my gosh, I think of how we get up every morning and just start the routine. We don't look around. We don't appreciate the day. We don't wake up thinking, how should I create my day? Instead of just letting it happen to you, I feel I've wasted so much that I could have appreciated so much more and stayed in the moment instead of worrying about what comes next. And I'll share with you one thing that just, oh my goodness, I won't get into it. It was a very dark time in my life, but I was going through a divorce and I was also having a health issue. And because of the divorce, I lost my escape room business that I had put my whole heart and soul into. The money that was the buffer for it was taken, and we'll just leave it there. So I'm living alone and trying to save this business. It was doing really well, but I couldn't go in personally. I could barely stand up at the time. I was so sick. And I was praying, and I finally had to sell it, and I had an escape room owner from Denver coming to look at it, and there were 4 different games, and he wanted me to run them so he could see if he wanted to buy them. Each game's an hour long. Go through the profit and loss statements, and I thought, I cannot do this, and I was crying, and I was supposed to go meeting by myself. And I said, Heavenly Father, I can't do this. And I was really falling apart because of all I'd been through. And the doorbell rang. And I'm going, I'm sitting here with mascara, and I thought, I'm not going to the door. And this voice said, go to the door. And I just fought it, and the doorbell rang again. I went to the door. I opened the door. I pulled myself together, and this young, clean-cut guy is standing there with a clipboard. He looked like Doogie Howser, just young, fresh-faced. And I said, can I help you? And he goes, yeah, you don't know me. I live right down the street. I'm a realtor, and you may not be ready to sell your house, but it's my experience. People always know somebody. Can I leave you my card? I said, sure. So he hands me his card. He goes, I don't know if you're aware, but the houses on this side that back up to the green belt are worth a whole lot more if you ever decide to sell your home. And he says, the view out your back door is incredible. And something again said, let him in. And I would never do that. I said, well, do you want to come see? He goes, yeah. So he walks over and he's looking out the door, and he looked at me. He goes, I don't mean to be rude, but do you need to sit down? You don't look so good. I said, I'm okay. I said, but I have to go somewhere in a little bit, and I don't mean to be rude. And I said, speaking of buying and selling, I am selling something today. And he said, what? And I told him an escape room business. He goes, oh my gosh, those are so popular. And I didn't want to start crying again because I didn't want to lose the business. I said, yes, they are. Thank you. And he goes, where is it? And I told him where it was. He goes, what a great location. And I said, thank you. I said, I'm not looking forward to this. I have to go meet a guy that wants to buy it. And I am not feeling very well. And he goes, what time are you meeting him? I said, 2:00. Sorry, this gets to me because it's so amazing. He goes, how about I meet you there and I'll be your wingman? This guy came out of nowhere and rang my doorbell. And he said, I can tell him about the area, the demographics. I know all about that area. How about I do that? And he showed up and he went into his sale mode. He goes, what can we do to close this deal today? And he just, I don't know what I would have done without him. And you cannot tell me that wasn't meant to happen. I mean, literally rang my doorbell and he moved away a week later. I mean, I moved from the neighborhood and I just thought, that's incredible.
I think that's a beautiful story, Rebecca, but I also remember you saying a couple of times tonight that you don't have any abilities that you know of. But for the pure fact that you actually heard a voice tell you to answer the door is an ability. That's a gift. That doesn't happen for everybody.
No.
So that's a beautiful miracle too.
Thank you for saying that. I don't know if it's an urge. It's something you feel.
That's your intuition.
Yeah. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if you guys have this. I have strangers talk to me all the time.
That's being,
I'm tall and I realize I stick out, but like Estes Park is a tourist town where the Stanley Hotel is, and it is packed in the summer. And I would go up there with my family. And you are elbow to elbow going down the sidewalks and everything. And one day I was up there with my 21-year-old son at the time. This little girl, and I mean seriously crowded, is headed in the opposite direction. She looks at me, comes over and says, what do you think of my new shoes? I said, oh, well, those are very nice. And she goes, look, they light up. I said, they certainly do. And her parents are just smiling and she takes off. And we went into a restaurant and we were waiting in line, and this elderly woman got up from her table and came over to me and said, would you like to see what I bought today? I'm making a quilt. And I'm like, well, sure. And she's pulling her fabrics out of her bed. And then it happened again that day with somebody that just came up and started talking to me. And my son said, Mom, every time we're out in public, people come up and just start talking to you. And I love it. I don't understand it, except I realize we do put out an energy field that goes out like 8 feet in front of us, and people can feel that energy. And I love people. And I don't know if they sense that, but it is kind of cool.
It definitely is a characteristic of being an empath. That's how I got started doing the show from the beginning, is because people will come to me and just start opening up, and we've never even met. They just start pouring out their, okay, I'm getting distracted. We have an energy happening over here. And it
tonight, the paranormal showing up in the studio.
We have some activity in the studio tonight, and I keep feeling it, and it's really distracting.
One thing I want to tell you, Rebecca, is you process a whole lot of things through your mind, and there's so many things that that's not the place to process them. So you process them more in your body, and you'll tune a little bit more to just your way. But your mind wants to try to scientifically do it. That's just what I'm gathering from listening to you and talking to you. So I want to just let you know, just relax the mind. Yeah. The mind
that's a hard one.
I know, I can feel it from my mind's got to figure it out. And it's like the mind is so think about it this way. And it's beautiful because it helps you do what you do. But this is just for your personal space. The mind is an analysis machine, which means that it cuts things into pieces and parts. And you cannot understand the tree. The word tree and the idea of tree is different than the tree. So you naturally have this ability to go into spaces and absorb the concept of the space and feel the energies and things like that. But the mind wants to cut it all into pieces and parts. And it's a great analytical tool for yourself. And you do use it, but then sometimes it restricts the deeper knowledge.
I love that. That's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I am an overthinker.
Yes,
It
like
comes
mine.
in handy with the books, especially to find new evidence, because I do tend to key in on the minutia, the details. But the rest of my life, it's a hindrance, and I'm trying very hard to stop overthinking things.
So then you could just put your mind on duty when you're doing the work stuff, and then let your mind get off duty when you're outside of work.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will try really hard.
Oh,
I just bought a book on how to stop overthinking.
Well, you know, I have this coaching business on the side. If you ever need, I can help you.
She literally helps people work through this.
I do.
Mm-hmm.
It has, it's caused me more heartache than I needed, but it also comes in handy. So, and I've painted over 4,000 wall murals.
Sure.
And that's a lot of detail. And I think that it wired my mind to find detail in words and dialogue and the evidence that I find, because things just jump out at me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it is all that tiny little detail with all those wall murals for 40 years. So
some of it, and then some of it just may be your nature.
We'll say that too.
Oh,
I'll have to tell you something cute. So I have 9 grandkids and I adore them. And I was sitting on a front porch swing with my granddaughter. She was 5 at the time. And she's got the best mind. And we can talk about anything. And there was a tree right there in front of us. And I said, Serenity, do you think that tree likes being a tree? She goes, yes. I said, why? She goes, because it's really good at it. I thought, whoa.
Like that.
There's not a lot of adults that would come up with that. And it was so pure and perfect. I love that.
Beautiful perspective.
Children are the best teachers.
Yeah. They are amazing. So anyway, I never forgot that. And it was so true and perfect and easy. It's good at it.
So then you take that analogy and then you apply it to your own life, and your gifts were different than your mom's because your mission in life is different than your mom's. And so what you do, you were formed perfectly for doing the things that you've been able to do throughout your life. Mm-hmm. And so as you appreciate your gifts for what they are, and then just deepen that connection with your personal gifts, then the reason you were born to be Rebecca Pittman, because you're good at it. So one job you're 100% qualified for.
Thank you. Nobody else wanted it.
No one else could do it as good as you do.
That's correct. It was only you.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys are sweet.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Do you want to share some more stories with us?
Absolutely.
Can we go back into the Lizzie Borden just for a minute?
I do have a question about the Lizzie Borden. What have you gathered was what triggered her, or what was the whole thing? Because
why did
hacking people up with an axe has got to have some sort of passion or energy behind it. Why?
That's, this is the part that's fascinating. People have wanted to know the motive. And even during the trial, they did not find a will. Andrew didn't make a will. And so they're trying to figure out what was their motive for this. Now, he was well off. He was wealthy. And yet he had made them stay in a very Spartan home. They used a latrine in the basement. There was no bathtub. They used a hip bath where you just pour water into a metal tub. And the other Bordens were very wealthy, and they lived up on the hill in the mansions. And Lizzie hated that house. She hated that it was in the middle of a commercial section of town where there across the street were liveries and Chinese laundries. And she wanted to be up where all the fancy people were. Well, so here's where this goes. I believe that there were 3 hatchets involved that day, 3 dresses, and that there were 3 murder plots. But the reason that Lizzie was going to do what she did was that there was a land deal going on behind her and her sister's back. One of the properties that her dad owned was 250 acres in Swansea, which was only 10 minutes away. It was just over the bridge. Huge property with cattle. It was income producing, chickens and everything else. And he had decided with her uncle John Morse that they were going to turn this into a big cattle and horse production. In fact, her uncle John was already moving over 80 head of wild Mustangs. Well, they knew that if Lizzie found out, she'd blow up, because what they decided to do was put that deal into Abby's name, that land deed, her stepmother that she already hated. And that he had made that mistake 5 years earlier by helping Abby's half-sister with some money so she could stay in her house. Emma and Lizzie blew up, said, what you did for her, you should do for us. And he gave them their grandfather's house where they could keep the rent from it. And that wasn't good enough. So anyway, they didn't think Lizzie knew about it. The morning of the murders, Abby was supposed to get picked up at 10 o'clock to be taken to the bank to sign this deed, which would effectively disinherit Emma and Lizzie from getting that property. And it was a lot. It was one of the biggest things he owned. And what they didn't know was she had found out about it. She was one step ahead of them. She was supposed to be on vacation and she left. And that's the time that she went off and got the dress material, and she popped back and they weren't expecting her. Mm-hmm. And so the impetus for this whole thing was she was trying to stop Abby from getting to the bank. So the reason there's 3 murder plots is that Abby and Andrew, the murders were Thursday. On the Monday before, the same week, they were supposed to go start their vacation at the Swansea farm. They had a home there. It was actually, it was a family home. Lizzie grew up fishing there, had a lot of family memories, which wasn't helping with this whole thing. And when she popped back up, they decided not to go. Well, part of the farm thing was that they had cows. And so the farmhand would bring fresh milk in the big cans and put it on their back porch every morning at the Borden home. Well, when he thought the Bordens were going to be starting their vacation at the farmhouse, I believe he put a can of milk, big can of fresh milk, on the steps in preparation for them beginning their vacation there, but they didn't go. What do we find out? Suddenly, the farmhands get very sick. And the word poison was starting to float around. I believe she put arsenic in that milk thinking they were going to go there and they didn't show up. And rather than pour it out, I think the farmhands drank it. So they're both really, really sick. Even on the day of the murders, they're still sick. Well, they didn't go. So that was Monday. Tuesday, over dinner, there's bread served and milk that was delivered from the farm. And I believe she put more arsenic in that milk to be served for dinner at home. Because again, they didn't go to the farm. Andrew had a habit of pouring milk all over 2 big chunks of bread. And so now that bread that's soaked in what I believe was arsenic laced milk would just sit in your stomach. And he was very slight, very thin man to start with. So all that night, they're throwing up, Abby and Andrew. And that's when I was laying in the bed thinking, what did it feel like hearing them on the other side of the wall? Mm-hmm. They threw up from 9 until midnight. She's laying there waiting, listening for them to die. And they didn't. So now we're at Wednesday morning. Abby went across the street to the doctor and said, I think somebody's trying to poison us. He said it was just what they call summer complaint because they didn't have refrigeration. They had ice boxes. It's August. Fish can go off, that kind of thing. And he dismissed it. So the arsenic's not working. So on Wednesday, Lizzie goes out and starts trying to buy prussic acid, which will kill you in a heartbeat. It's the same thing as cyanide gas that they use in gas chambers. And nobody'd sell it to her. So she's desperate. The next morning's Thursday morning when Abby's supposed to go to the bank. So now she's down to a hatchet. She can't get poison. She can't get anything else. So here's where it gets really, really interesting, in my opinion. I think the idea was she knew the guy was coming at 10 to pick her up. Andrew'd gone out. He'd gone to the bank to wait for her. Bridget, the maid, was the only other one home. She's outside washing windows. And at the time Abby died, she was talking over the fence to the maid next door. So Lizzie had on a Bedford cord dress that did have paint stains on it. It was old. It had been ruined with paint stains, brown paint stains. And I think that's why she chose it, because she knew it was going to get blood all over it. So Abby is in the guest room where their Uncle John had spent the night before. John's gone off. And Abby's making the bed, and Lizzie walked in and surprised her. And we know that she was facing her attacker because the first hit with the hatchet laid open this side of her face. And so we know she was facing her, which is, I don't even know how you do it. Mm-hmm. She bent over, and the next two were to the top of her head, at which point she turned to run, but she was trapped between the bed and the dresser. And the next blows went between her shoulder blades, and she went down. And then Lizzie straddled her, and in the end, there were 18 blows to her head.
Incredible.
So I believe at that point, I mean, once you've done that and you realize what it takes to do that to a human being, I think she thought, I don't need to kill Father. I've gotten rid of my problem. You know, we're back in the inheritance and everything, because she's out of the way. So she decides to try to get out of the house. She puts on the new dress, but Bridget won't leave. The maid, who was still sick from having some of the milk too, said, Lizzie said, hey, there's a sale of dress goods at Sargent's for 8 cents a yard. And Bridget said, yeah, I'm going to have some, but I don't feel good right now, and I'm going to go lie down up in her room upstairs in the attic. And Andrew came home. He normally came home at 11 for the noon meal, but when Abby didn't show up, he showed up early at 10:40. And now she's trapped. If she leaves and Bridget's the only one there alone, they're going to hang her. She's an Irish immigrant, which was at the bottom of the totem pole, and Lizzie couldn't do it. But here's the problem. I believe that after she killed Abby, she took the hatchet and threw it over the back fence. And now she has no hatchet. So I believe she went to the basement and got an old one. And Andrew laid down on the sofa thinking Abby will come back at some point. He said, where is she? She said, oh, she got a note from a sick friend and went out. So he's thinking, okay, I don't know what's going on. But he lays down on the sofa, and she comes around the corner with this other hatchet and gives him 11 blows and kills him. So here's why this is interesting to me. In the trial, during the time that the coroner and the medical examiners talk, in Abby's wounds in the bone was gold gilt. And back then they would line hatchets, brand new hatchets, with gold gilt and the label. So we know it's a brand new hatchet. And that's why I believe she threw it over the fence. They actually did find a brand new hatchet on the roof of the barn behind her home a year later. With Andrew, they proved during the trial, it was not the same hatchet that killed Abby. There was no gold gilt, and the blade was so thin that killed him. It had to have been an old one that had been honed over the years, you know, over and over and over again, sharpened, and it matched the one from the basement. So what she did after she killed Andrew was she thought, well, what am I going to do with this one? She took it in the basement and she broke it so that it was just the head and a handle. And then she took the head, washed it, and rolled it in coal dust to make it look like it was covered in dust, and threw it up in a box of old tools, hoping if they did find it, they'd think, well, this couldn't have been used. It's broken. There's no way you could use this, and it's dusty and everything else. Well, they saw right through it. They said it didn't look like dust. It was too coarse. It looked like coal dust. It was a fresh break. They could tell it had just been broken. The third hatchet, I believe, is the one that the police found in the basement that was actually an axe. But they said it was washed and wiped down, but they knew that that wasn't the murder weapon. It was a 5-inch blade. And the ones that had killed Abby and Andrew were 3.5-inch blades widths. So I think she used the back of that clawhead hatchet to lay the other one that she killed Andrew with on a stump and whack it in order to break it. So in the 128 years since this murder, people have tried to break that hatchet to replicate that break. Because normally when a hatchet breaks, it's like a baseball bat. It breaks with the grain and it goes vertically. This is straight across. It's got that much of a nub and then the hatchet head. And people have tried and tried. They've put it in vices and everything else. It wasn't cut. It was a break. And so while I was writing the book, I noticed, Lizzie, you're going to love this part. Lizzie had a habit of anchoring her lies with objects. It was fascinating. Every time I got to where if she mentioned an object, I circled it. And so on the morning of the murders of Andrew, they asked her, where were you? She said, I was out in the barn eating pears when he was murdered. And they said, did you do anything else while you were out there? And she said, I picked up a chip of wood. I thought, who in the world is going to mention that they picked up a chip of wood and the light bulb came on? And I went, my husband was out back. We'd gone through like 5 hatchets and hammers and everything else trying to make this work. I said, put a wedge of wood underneath the head and then hit it. And he said, why? I said, just do it. So it was another brand new hat. We bought a whole bunch of them, another brand new hatchet. He put the piece of wood so that now it's at an incline, the hatchet. And when he hit it, and luckily it didn't hit him, the head went flying and it broke exactly like the hatchet head, which is in the Fall River Historical Society today. It was exact. And when I showed it to the curators in Fall River, they went, how in the world did you do that? And I thought, that's what she did. It was almost like she was playing with you, like cat and mouse, that she would throw out these little things and almost be proud of herself that you'll never guess what that had to do with. Mm-hmm. But that is exactly how I believe she broke that hatchet.
I love that you found new evidence just by paying attention to the fine little drops that were left along the way.
Or
it's just so neat.
It's like a recognition of the pattern. You started to recognize that she would anchor her stuff in truth. So she would lie, but she'd have truth interwoven in it. And there's
your
superpower,
Rebecca.
Right, patterning.
There's your superpower.
Can I tell you the last one?
Yes.
Okay. So the day, Monday, the murders were Thursday. The Monday before, there was a guy sitting across the street in a buggy, and he noticed this other buggy pull up, and that this young man got out and went up to the door, rang the doorbell, and Andrew let him in. But while the young man was standing there, he noticed that he was wearing russet-colored baseball shoes. This is 1892. And he had a stripe up his pant leg. And he said, and the guy was really pale. He noticed he was very pale. So anyway, he went in, he stayed for 10 minutes, and he left. I believe he was the overseer that Uncle John sent to Andrew to interview to be the overseer for the new land deal. Again, Lizzie wasn't supposed to know any of this. Mm-hmm. So after the murders, when they're looking for anybody that could have done it, that came forward about this young man. I mean, it's important. He went in and visited with Andrew just 3 days before the murders. What I did know about the land deal was everybody involved was a relative, whether it was distant or not. And I thought, if John Moore sent somebody to interview for the overseer, it's got to be a relative. So I went through Ancestry.com. I can't tell you how much. I looked at every branch of the Borden family, the Morse family, and I finally found a Borden branch in New York. And I was seriously about to give up. And I looked at the wife's side, and there was a sister who had 3 sons. And I thought, oh, what the heck? I'm going down the sons, and I went, oh my gosh. One of them was a baseball player who was living only an hour and a half from Fall River. He had played for the Kansas City Cowboys russet colored uniforms. And he was Lizzie's and John's distant cousin who now lived only an hour and a half away. And I believe that's who that young man was. And nobody found him in 125 years. And I found him. And my husband was out back with the sliding door open. And I yelled out, baseball shoes. And he knew I'd been looking for days. And he came in. He goes, you didn't. I said, yes, I did.
That is so awesome.
But it actually tied into her motive. Only they never did find it. Even through the trials, if they'd known where to look, that young man being there was a clue to that land deal, which was the whole reason she killed him.
Unbelievable.
It's fun,
in the 1890s.
Well, they didn't have the internet or Google or Ancestry.com either.
No.
This is true. I cheated.
But also, I really believe, like, why would you look up those things? Because your intuition guided you in that direction.
That's right.
That's
Either
not,
that or I'm just very stubborn.
I'm sure it could be a combination of both. It does.
Sure.
It does take grit. Definitely. Absolutely.
I appreciate that. But that I'm like you, AJ. It's the clues. It's just fascinating to me.
It's fun to figure out. It really is. That's exciting. And the psychology behind the why, like how people even get to that point where they feel like that is the answer. I'll never understand it, but I'm still fascinated by it for some reason.
Well, it's human nature. I don't want to call it voyeuristic, but it's pulling back the curtain to see how someone's mind works that we can't even fathom. It's the audacity of the crime. It's like, how could you even do that? Right. And we're human. It's human nature to want to understand it because it's a little scary.
Yeah, absolutely. And times are so different now than they were then. And like you've also done research on the Salem witch trials, which we haven't even gotten into. We only have, we have about a little less than 10 minutes, but maybe you could do a Cliff Notes version of that experience. But it's just, we don't research crime like that anymore. People do not get it. The majority of people who are in this realm as a profession, I don't feel like they have that. Okay, I'm going to digress because it's going to go down a whole other way. There are people in the world who aren't in the profession who are figuring out crimes faster than the people who are actually doing it for a profession.
Oh, you mean the armchair sleuths?
Right, versus the CSI investigators.
Exactly. Yep. But they also don't have the workload and they have the more time and they're doing it because they're passionate about it and it's not a job.
Right.
So.
The job. I agree with you. Actually, the Facebook groups, like for the Murdoch trial, they're sharp.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm just blown away by some of the stuff they come up with. They're sharp.
And just like the more recent murders, like in Idaho with the college kids, they found him mostly because of other people.
Yep.
It's just amazing how everyone's contributing. Like, what about this? And I thought this might be something and this might be something. And they're actually becoming legit clues and helping solve these cases, which is really awesome.
Well, you've got a lot of eyeballs on it. It's not just two detectives going out, and you've got all of this technology.
And nothing's private.
You've got drones you can fly around and do overhead, that we didn't have before. It's fascinating.
Right. And everything is like easily accessible now due to all the technology, and it's just a lot easier than it used to be too.
This is true, but it's I don't know, you guys. I want to do a novel next because the research is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get permission. I have to interview people. I pay out a lot for photographs that are copyrighted, which is fine. But I want to just write a novel and pull it out of my own little head instead of having to get permission from everybody. So that's what I'm going to do. And then I'll probably fall back into another haunted book or true crime. But I just need a break. It is a lot.
It is a lot. It is. And it can become very heavy on your psyche as well.
Yeah. Well, that, and I want to get it right. Once you write a book and it's out there, you can't take it back. And this case is evolving every day and it weighs on me. I'm going, once you put that out there, you've got to run the risk that they're going to come up with something else and you're wrong.
Right.
So I'm trying to stick to the facts, but I also usually insert a few things that I've found. And yeah, it does. It weighs on me. Plus, I get very close to the victims' families and want very much to help.
Yeah. How many books have you written to date as far as the history and haunting series?
The history and haunting, there are 6, but a lot of them went into second editions with additional information. This is my second true crime. I have a juvenile fiction called T.J. Fennell and the Well of Ghosts. And I don't laugh at me for this. I have a book called Troubleshooting Men. What in the world do they want?
Oh, nice.
You also have one on scrapbooking, right?
Yes, scrapbooking and how to start a faux finishing or mural business. So this is my 16th book, but
oh my goodness,
it's my passion. I mean, after 40 years of painting murals and being on scaffolding and having everybody watch you, to just get to sit in my office and write with nobody watching me, I've got to admit, I'm really liking that. I
don't blame you after all of that hard work to just put your mind to work a little differently. That's good.
Write some fiction, create a story of your own.
Yeah, Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House got me going on ghosts. That's still my favorite book.
I love that. I love that one.
The book's scarier than the movie.
Yes, I mean, much scarier.
Yeah.
And the movie
that kept me awake, and that takes some to keep me awake, but that one did.
How can we find your books? Where are they located for us to purchase?
Well, thank you. Easiest way is just to go to Amazon and type Rebecca F. Pittman in the search bar, and they'll all come up. And then my website is www.rebeccafpittmanbooks.com. And I also created a Lizzie Borden paranormal card game. It's a rummy style card game. It has all the evidence and crime scene and
oh my gosh. Say it isn't so. I must get it.
Pages like I must have that.
That was
email me your address and I'll send you one.
Oh, sweet you.
Oh, that's lovely.
I'll send you 2.
It's so neat. That's the Lizzie Borden story was like when I was a kid. That was one of the stories that started getting me down that rabbit hole. I mean, it's an old story and it's been around from the 1800s. So
1892. You can't look away from it. And it's as popular as ever. They've compared it to OJ. It just doesn't go away.
Yeah. I mean, there's rhymes and songs and movies and books about it. Did you ever watch the Christina Ricci version of the movie? And how did you feel about it?
Oh, the one that was the series? Lizzie Borden Chronicles?
Yes.
To be honest, I thought it had a larger body count than Hannibal Lecter. Every series, she's killing somebody, but it was interesting.
For you.
I like the Elizabeth Montgomery one from 1975, probably the best.
I think that's the one I saw when I was younger. That was
that sparked it.
Yeah, I'm dating myself here, but no, I thought that one was really, really good. I will tell you, she did not murder them in the nude, and she was not having an affair with the maid. So I'll leave you with that.
I haven't even heard that, but I did hear different versions where she did it like while they were asleep through the night. I hadn't heard about the poison until you had brought that
Yeah.
up. But there's,
They had a witness that was going to testify at the druggist that she came in, and she lucked out. The judge wouldn't let it in. I think if they had let that in, that might have been a different outcome.
Yeah, she really did get away with it. One thing before we end for the evening and wrap up our show, what is your most favorite book you've ever written and why?
Oh, you're mean.
Well, you have so many great ones.
I got to tell you, it might be The History and Haunting of the Palace of Versailles.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's the one I want to read next.
Because the ghost of Marie Antoinette has been documented, and the Louis, all the Louis, 13, 14, 15. I mean, it was so fascinating. Poisons and encrypted messages. And
there was
I learned so much. But yeah, I think, and it's a big book. It's as big as Lizzie. So, I mean, Lizzie's 800 and some pages, but
goodness.
But keep in mind, don't let that be daunting, because it is filled, all of them, with photos and maps and illustrations and blueprints. And so it's not as daunting as it sounds.
Well, I'm going to grab that one next. I'm fascinated with that whole period of
the Versailles.
Oh, yes. There was so much going on.
So much intrigue, so much all that shenanigans.
So many things happening behind everyone's back. It was crazy.
Oh, so. They were poisoning each other to climb the ladder. I mean, it was called the Affair of the Poisons. 154 people were arrested for that. I mean, it's a story you probably don't know a lot. There's a lot that I didn't know about. So yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us and all of the other greatness that you've shared and the time you've spent with us. It's been wonderful.
So delightful.
I'd love to hear more about your future research and definitely the witch trials. So if you're open to it, we'll add you to the revisit list.
Right.
Okay, please do. And make sure you email me your addresses.
Okay, wonderful. If you want to stay put, we'll be with you in just a moment. Until then, everyone, it's been awesome having you with us. Thank you for activity in the chat rooms. And next week, we will not have a live show. I'll be saying goodbye to my grandbaby and kids as they head back to Germany. But coming at the beginning of May, we'll have a full month of new guests. So until then, be good to yourself and be good to each other. We'll see you then.
And have a great one.
Bye.